We think of democracy as the foundation of freedom, a sacred gift from ancient Athens to the world. But what if I told you that one of Athens' greatest minds, Socrates, believed democracy could destroy itself? How could the man who gave us the foundation of critical thought also believe that the very system that supported it was flawed? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might start questioning everything you thought you knew about democracy. When we think of ancient Greece, we imagine a thriving democracy, citizens gathering to vote, the birthplace of political freedom. The Parthenon stands today as a symbol of those democratic values. But beneath this proud image, there was a dark tension. While Athens was pioneering democracy, it was also giving birth to a new way of thinking, philosophy. And at the heart of it was Socrates, the man who spent his life asking difficult questions and challenging the norms of his society. But here's where things get interesting. Socrates wasn't convinced that democracy was the answer. In fact, he believed it was dangerously flawed. Imagine this. Socrates is standing in the bustling streets of Athens, surrounded by eager students. He compares the city-state to a ship setting sail in dangerous waters. Who would you want steering this ship, he asks. Just anyone, or someone trained and skilled in the art of navigation. It seems obvious, right? You'd want someone who knows what they're doing, someone who's educated in the complexities of sailing. So why, Socrates asks, do we let just anyone, no matter how uninformed, decide who should govern our city? Democracy, Socrates argued, wasn't about letting everyone vote. It was about letting informed people vote. Because voting, he said, wasn't just a right, it was a skill. In Plato's Republic, Socrates makes this point clear. Without proper education and understanding, democracy is as dangerous as letting an untrained sailor captain a ship into a storm. And yet, in Athens, any citizen could vote, regardless of their knowledge or wisdom. The consequences of this would be fatal. In 399 BC, Socrates would experience firsthand the dangers of an educated electorate. His crime? Corrupting the youth of Athens. But in truth, his only crime was challenging the status quo. The voters, ordinary citizens, were swayed by emotion, not reason. They voted to put him to death. The great philosopher was sentenced to die, not because he was guilty of any crime, but because the crowd could not bear his questions. They wanted simple answers, and Socrates gave them uncomfortable truths. Socrates wasn't against the people, he was against ignorance. He believed that only those who had thought deeply and rationally about the issues should have the power to decide who ruled. But his warnings were ignored, and Athens would face the consequences. Not long after, Athens would be seduced by the demagogues Socrates feared. Men like Alcibiades, a smooth-talking politician who led Athens into ruinous wars. Under his leadership, the city pursued disastrous campaigns, including the failed invasion of Sicily, which nearly destroyed their military might. Socrates' warning had come true. Democracy had been swayed by charm and emotion, and Athens suffered greatly for it. The city that had once been the jewel of Greece was now vulnerable, weakened by internal strife and poor decisions. Socrates' warning against uneducated voting is more relevant today than ever. Are we still electing leaders based on charm, easy promises, and emotion? Or are we truly voting with wisdom and reason? Think about it. How different are we from the Athens of Socrates' time? If this forgotten lesson from history has made you question the way we think about democracy today, hit subscribe. There's so much more from the ancient world that can help us understand the present. Let's uncover it together.